Yo, yo, yo! Good morning, ladies! Rise and grind.
Today I'm here to talk about arguably one of the most controversial gacha games to release to date, Zenless Zone Zero. I'm here to give you my opinions as well as some thoughts and sentiments about the critiques that the gacha community has had about Zenless Zone Zero as a whole, as well as speculate the direction Zenless will go after considering the backlash that it's gotten from its community. My name's darphexaxg, and I think that we should start the video off by addressing the elephant in the room, the catalyst for the backlash this game is currently facing, the infamous TV system. Even before the official release of Zenless Zone Zero, during the beta test of the game, a lot of players had an issue with the amount of time that was being spent in the TV system. And from then to date, which is 1 week after the game's official release, that problem still persists. Granted, the amount of time spent in the TV system since the beta has been cut down by 50%, you're still roughly spending 60 to 65% of the time that you want to be engaged in story traversing the TV system. This is a problem because Zenless has 3 other forms to visually portray what's happening instead of having you, the player, actively break your immersion of the story to stop a train from flying through the fucking Discovery Channel when it could have been just shown that it was stopped in the first place. So now not only is the majority of the storytelling being told behind Grandma's 3-pronged box TV, but it's also inescapable. With the TV system being a core part of what gives Zenless Zone Zero its uniqueness, that same system can be found in the other 2 core factions of the HDD or Hollow Deep Dive system, being the combat and exploration commissions. Since you're spending the better half of your time in the TV systems in these modes as well, you're not able to explore your environment because this game isn't open world like its sister titles, but you're also minimizing the time you spend in combat. So now that you kind of get the scope of why it is players don't find the TV system pleasant, I'm going to throw my 2 cents in. I personally do not mind the TV system. Hold on, wait. Before you just cast my opinion to the side, you just invalidate it. Let me say this. Let me elaborate. I think the idea of the TV system was great, but I think it was executed poorly. I'll cover the 3 main modes being story, combat, and exploration commissions. Starting with story commissions, I personally do not think that the TV system needs to be there at all. It was a bad idea to tell the story of Zenless Zone Zero through the TV system when it could have just been showed to us through the other ways that we've been getting fed the story thus far. My initial thought on the TV system being in story mode was that I didn't mind it. That is until I started missing out on key parts of the story from having to actively be a part of the gameplay instead of being able to absorb the story without having to focus on something else. At this point in time and for the foreseeable future, I don't think my opinion is going to change. I do not believe the TV system has a place in story commissions. However, moving on to exploration commissions, I really do appreciate the TV system for what it is there, because I do not have the time, since I play other gacha, to actively explore an open world to receive rewards. Since most players that play Zenless have also played another gacha that has an open world aspect, I'm sure they would agree with me that open world exploration takes longer for you to receive rewards than a game like Zenless Zone Zero, which is objective-based exploration. And if you don't agree with me on that, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree. So I admit, I enjoy being able to flick through a couple of channels and being rewarded in full without having to run through an open world map that has a dead zone and literally nothing of value for even being there in the first place. With that said, I believe that TV mode is handled well in exploration commissions. And that leaves us with the last, but definitely not the least important mode in the game, being combat commissions. I have a very mixed opinion when it comes to the TV system's part in the combat commissions, because you can actively avoid a fight by not partaking in the TV systems and avoiding the enemies, or you can provoke the enemies or even challenge a fight with a stronger opponent to get through your commission. So it feels like that they're catering to each side of a coin, which is why I don't really know if it's necessary to have the mode, but I feel like that it's not a negative nor a positive to have it in, since it's going to be catered to whichever person wants to play their individual way through that commission. While we're on the topic of combat, I'd like to switch it over to the next topic I wanted to talk about, which is this game's marketing. The marketing for Zenless Zone Zero is a roller coaster, both having high highs and very low lows. One high of this game being that it amassed over 30 million, even 40 million plus pre-registrations. But as of what was expected of the game, being advertised as a combat-heavy game, as for what we've got in reality, well, that expectation just doesn't hold up. Turns out that the majority of the combat you'll be facing in this game is your body fighting off the urge to fall asleep during the repetitive TV jumping. Along with the subtraction of promised combat-heavy orientated gameplay, you are also being lied to when it said that you will be getting 180 free pulls for downloading the game. Now, I personally wasn't affected by Zenless's marketing. I didn't see much of it in real life, if any of it at all. I didn't really hear much of the game. It was a pretty big sleeper for a large part of the time that it wasn't released. And when it did release, I went in without any prior knowledge or expectations of what the game was supposed to be. That said, I do have the common sense to acknowledge that the tactics used to bring in an audience for this game was kind of predatory. Not even kind of, it was pretty messed up. However, Hoyoverse is not the only gacha company to do said tactics to pull in a larger player retention. However, this does not excuse what Hoyo has did to this community. One thing Hoyo advertised well though about Zenless Zone Zero, which is the next main point that I want to get to, is the art style. Zenless Zone Zero is the most fluid game to come out of Hoyoverse yet. All the characters are well animated, they're super bouncy, they flow smoothly, and they're really cartoonish. So I'm sure that whether you're a part of the gacha niche or not, and you just enjoy something that's a bit more cartoonish, you will fall in love with Zenless Zone Zero's art style. One of my favorite characters, and a great example, being Billy the Kid, which is that robot that you've seen at the start of the video. He is an absolute enjoy to be around, dude. I love whenever I see this man on the screen because I know he's going to alleviate some of the tension of the story and just overall be amazing comedic relief. Alongside the sleek cinematic scenes, there are also two other forms of art styles that have been adopted into Zenless. That being the comic book art style, which retains the bounciness of the characters somehow, as well as the dialogue scenes between the cast. No matter which way the story is being presented, the characters just look phenomenal, man, and I really do appreciate that. Now that does lead me though into the next topic that I want to get into though, which is character design. I'ma keep it real, man. Every NPC in this game is super smashable. It's insane just how many characters are walking around with fucking triple D's and a BBL, dude. It's fucking nuts, and I love it for that. This game really does have something for everybody, whether they be into furries, whether you be into moms, whether you be into gothic, man, they got you covered. But there are some characters that push it a little too far, right? Most notably Lucy, Piper, and Corin, who either show a lot of skin for being a younger character or leave room for fetishization. This has been a weird thing that gacha has done before, but it's glaringly obvious in Zenless, and it leads to a lot of players being pretty uncomfortable. Moving on from the playable characters onto the enemy designs, from the rookie street thugs to the main villains of the story mode to the ethereals made in the hollows, every enemy on this game has their own identity, and I think that it makes them super unique in their own right. Even if we take them out quickly, I appreciate a well-crafted enemy. And oh boy, talking about the enemies, that's gonna be the next point, man. The enemy AI as well as challenge mode if you can even call it that. Look, I'm gonna just keep it a buck. It feels like every enemy had a lobotomy before entering the battlefield, man. The amount of times where I stand there and just wail on an enemy for them to sit there and look at me like I'm fucking stupid is insane, dude. I have no idea what's going on or why it is they're so afraid to attack back, but having that challenge mode on doesn't make it any better. It doesn't. For some reason, all it does is give them extra health. It doesn't increase their attack damage. It doesn't increase the attack rate. It only increases the amount of damage that is needed to be dealt to the enemy to take them out, and it makes me furious because not only are you now spending longer in a mode that doesn't really feel too rewarding, but now you're also standing there willing on an enemy with the same combos because they don't want to attack back. And to put the shitty little turd cherry on top, the camera fucking blows, dude. Like, I genuinely don't lock onto a single enemy because that motherfucker doesn't know what direction it wants to be in. And on top of that, I gotta worry about somebody else behind me blowing my fucking back out with a rifle while I'm trying to focus on the target in front of me. It is a shit show. At this point, the combat is being hard carried by two things. That being the characters' banter switching between them on your team and the music in the background. That is the best thing about Zenless Zone Zero. The music is fire. Don't believe me, this entire video through has been nothing but Zenless Zone Zero background music. It is truly peak. I know this game's been surrounded around a lot of controversy as of late, but I'll be honest, man, I have been enjoying Zenless Zone Zero for what it's been. Genuinely, I have. And right now, I'd say I'm leaning a bit closer to like a 6.8, could possibly be a 7 if a lot of the combat issues are solved. And I'll be continuing playing Zenless Zone Zero for the foreseeable future, or until I just straight lose enjoyment of it. As for the direction of Zenless Zone Zero, I'm sure that Hoyoverse is working on addressing the backlash that the game has gotten for the state that it's currently in, and hopefully they will release a patch that will be fixing these problems so we can have an enjoyable experience between the community, because I really do want to give this game a chance. I do enjoy it. With all things said, my final thoughts on Zenless Zone Zero is that it has the potential to be an amazing game. From the animation to the music to the enemy design, it is all good, but it has some glaring issues that need to be solved before this can be somebody's main game, or even a game that players decide to play in the long term, because I heard that it doesn't get much harder down the line. So with that being said, man, my name's darphexaxg. I hope that you guys can respect my opinions and thoughts on this game, and I would love to hear yours down in the comment section below. But with that being said, I'll catch you guys all in a new video in a few. Peace, y'all. Today I'm here to talk about arguably one of the most controversial gacha games to release to date, Zenless Zone Zero. I'm here to give my opinions on it, as well as what I think was going to be